Hi, my name is Nicholas Escobar. Welcome to my studio and to this tour of my Logic session for my new piece, OSLO. So this is what I started with here, right over here. This is where we started. And then this is what I created after I had all the elements which I crafted here. So the first thing that I recorded for this piece was this. This is the first thing I did. Now, what is this? Well, this is this. It is a pin art toy where you can do like this. So back in 2020, when I was making a sound kit of a lot of different objects, I decided to record this because you can go like that. And I said, well, that's a good sound. I can work with that. So I created, and I'll show you it here. Let's see if I can find it in my, I called it a face mesh toy, which I don't think is what it's called, but you see all these different ones here, right? This is the sampler in Logic, and I took face mesh toy 5, and here's my, I have a small keyboard here, the X key. I also have a bigger one here. But you can hear, that's the face mesh toy being sampled. And for this, I just played this rhythm here. Dun 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 da da dun 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 da da dun dun dun. Just like that. And then that started the whole thing. That was it. That was the beginning. I added 2 more sampled sounds. So this is a recording of me kicking rushes, sort of plants. But I ran that through a sampler and did the scrub function. It creates that nice scrubbing effect. And then this sound is the squeaking from my father's Carmen Gia from the 60s. I took recording of that. I'll show you here. Sounds so good. So this is the original sound. And this is what it sounds like when I sampled it. Oh yeah. And what do you have when you put it all together? You have the rhythm for this piece. So the cool thing about how I did this here is that we actually have 9 measures, not 8. Because of that, I mean, most pieces that you'll hear, generally, not always, of course, but they can be split down into segments of 4 measures, segments of 2 measures. This is an uneven split. It's an odd number, 9. And this extra measure is going to be very important eventually. So I'll show you in a sec. Let me just move my microphone a little bit because it's a little bit in the way. So this was the start of it right here. And then I was like, I gotta have some drums. Oh yeah. Just a really nice classic drum sound, you know? This is from Spitfire Labs. Really working on the kick and the snare. And then I was like, oh, I gotta have hi-hat. Now I know the layout of a drum kit. I can play drums a little bit, but not super well. But when I'm programming drums, in this case, I'm not necessarily thinking about an actual drummer playing it. I'm just creating this drum line. So these really are separate ideas here, separate parts of the texture in my mind. So that's what we have. Sampled sounds, drum kit, all blends together really nicely. What do we have with that extra measure though? Let's see. Oh yeah. It's like, I think of it as a musical hiccup. A little bit of a musical hiccup. And then I started to add the melodic elements. So again, this is not the final piece here. This is me combining a lot of things together. But this is what I settled on as the bass line. I'll play the... It's pretty simple. You go from C up to E flat, C, B flat, A natural, G. So you're going from C, E flat. It's a really nice change. We're wondering what's major and minor. We go from C major to E flat. And we also add the raised fourth with the A natural. It's a nice bass line. You hear the Moon guitar. This is from Labs, Spitfire Labs. Mandolin, also from Spitfire Labs, and this is the Deeps from the Foghorn library from Spitfire. This has a good sound, and the most important thing, of course, is that it works well with the textures that we're already dealing with here, the drums, sampled sounds. You just like want to dance to it. I was dancing to it when I was writing it. It's that extra measure. You're like, where's this going? And then I was like, well, that sounds great, but let's add another texture here. Let's add another melodic element. So this is the bass counter melody. I actually haven't used this library yet, so this was exciting. Lillian pipes, I believe it's called. It sounds great. Because you have those little ornaments, and when it's a short note, you just get a little bit of that ornament. And this is an electric keyboard. I added, let me see, a pitch shift. Nice. And I added an amp as well to this to create a nice crunchiness, sonic crunchiness. And then I was like, this is sounding awesome. Let's just keep going. Again, all this is done very quickly. So I'm just like, I need something else. I want something for this measure. That crazy ninth measure. I wanted something to push us into the next repetition, and I arrived at the charango and more pipes, just playing pretty dissonant. What did I actually play here? Let's see. Why is everything so small? I gotta adjust this here. Wait. All right, so we got E, F, and G. That's pretty dissonant. But it sounds good. So then we have that, and then I was like, well, I need a melody. I mean, I have bass line, I have all this other stuff going on, but we need a melody. So this is the melody. Played by the jazz guitar in contact here. Factory selection. Again, that's the crazy ninth measure, right? It's both the left hand, right hand melody, but it feels like one voice. A call and response. That's our melody. And then I was like, well, I just need a couple more things. And then we're going to be ready to start crafting this piece here. Have flutes. Nice. Those are from Spitfire. And then got some bongos. And then that's where I was at this point, where I was like, well, I have everything. I was repeating it and improvising to it. I was like, well, we're ready to start crafting it now. Because this is, again, this is what I started with. This is where I ended up. So now we're gonna go in and see how I was able to make this into this and into Oslo. So we started with, again, what I started with before. Just pin art, toy, rushes, squeaking, kick, snare. We got that going, right? Hi-hat, we're bringing that in. What are we gonna do next? This is the order of how I composed it, basically. Bongos on the 9th measure. Now, this is something I added in. This is the low bass. I did a really high cut on it, so we're just getting these low frequencies. Added a sub bass to it, compressor. Works really well to add some beefiness to the low end of the deep sound. We're moving here, right? Building up the texture, adding these rhythms. We're gonna add mandolin, moon guitar. Getting more fun. Reviving. Oh yeah. Up, look. 9th measure. Okay. Electric keyboard coming in with that counter melody. Again, all this is just repeating. 9th melody, or 9th measure, sorry. We're coming into our jazz guitar. Ornaments are playing. 9th measure. All right, this was something I added, and these are clarinets. So they're playing the chromatic parts and the beginning of the melodic line. Clarinets working in tandem with the flutes. And then I also added this. This is the flute's long flutter. We got piccolo coming in here too. These were additions as I was composing. It's a good bongo line. Oh wait, where is it? Drums. We did something new. Just like a crazy drum line. It's not even really realistic. I was just playing around. I do want to mention that I did adjust the drums because this was what we had before. This is what we ended up doing. I added this little bit here with the stick on that last beat. It's a nice little, because that's our 9th measure, right? Leads you in really well. Okay, I'm distracting myself here. What do we have? Okay, so this is the crazy part. Wait for it. Where are we? What happened? Okay, I gotta show you what happened. So again, what we had over here was me trying to craft the overall idea for this. But here, I decided to go to E flat. I wanted it to change in some way musically, because I felt like it was getting a little bit repetitive, and it was. I mean, look, all this is repeating. An E flat we've already talked about because that was where we were going in the bass line. It was going up to E flat. But now we're in E flat. So it's the same chord progression, but just moved up to E flat. So we're going from E flat to F sharp instead of C major to E flat. If that makes sense. What's pulling that along is the pick bass, which is the first time we hear it. Playing triplets, I believe, and then the crazy solo is actually the deeps synth. I just played that on my X key here. These the keys are pretty thin, so it's easy to just like go ham. And then what else do we have here? Here's some fun drum things going on. Just the sticks, right? And then these are sort of on an upbeat in a way, but they feel off, which is what I wanted. We have like a nice ride. It's a really fun thing to listen to. I just got lost in it for a sec. Sorry. This fun melody, which was again improvised. I wanted something here. It makes me happy, honestly, that line. This works so well. It's like a question, a musical question. And this crazy thing. Where is it? These are more pipes. We're doing a jazz guitar solo with this. Again, played on the X key here. This was a couple takes to get this where I wanted it to be. Just moving down. Is there anything else I want to talk about here? Well, we have this little trio playing just E flat, F sharp, or minor. What is this? They play around here. Let me see. Oh, so they're actually playing C minor here. And then E, what is it? E flat. Nice. I honestly didn't even realize that. Again, I'm playing this improvising, so sometimes I'm not thinking about the theory behind it. That's sort of a crunchy chord, right? The flutes are doubling that as well. We have a flutter. Okay, now pick bass is walking. Oh yeah. Going back to the counter melody. Played by the ornament pipes, like all. And then I was just doing these crazy lines. Again, moving down the X key. Just going like that. Was doing the same with the clarinets. Just having fun. What do we have here? Oh yeah. Again, just like crazy. Just moving down the keyboard. Not thinking about the notes. And then this is fun. I'll talk about this briefly. This is when I was in Oslo, I recorded Crosswalk. So there was a motorcycle that was standing still and the engine was still going. That's what you're actually hearing here. You can hear it a little bit when I lower it. So that's basically the engine of a motorcycle in Oslo, Norway. So I at one point this was longer, and then I decided to shorten it to just 2 measures. So we have a variation on the main theme, going up another octave. That's a bit of a variation. It ends very suddenly, and we have this crazy movement by the clarinets. Oh yeah, flute's going crazy. We have the flutter, and then everything sort of just goes down. And ends out of nowhere, really. I considered making it longer, but I was like, yeah, this feels great. Another thing I do want to mention is that outside of the Opera House, I did record a soundscape, and I used that here. I ran it through the Step FX here in Logic. And that just creates a sound bed, in my view. I'll tell you why I was in Oslo, Norway. Last year, I was based in Copenhagen for a month and decided to go up to Oslo for 2 days on a weekend to visit a friend of mine who I met at University of Edinburgh, and also some filmmakers who I met at Cannes the previous month. So I took a flight up to Norway. I'd never been to Norway before. I'd always wanted to go. And I absolutely adore the city. It is beautiful up there. I highly recommend that you visit. It blends sort of the natural world and the cityscape in such a wonderful way. The architecture is beautiful. And I went to the Munch Museum, which was an incredible experience. Highly recommend. I really love Edvard Munch's work. I just loved walking around the city. It's just a great place to walk. And then I took the train. It's this beautiful train that goes from the airport, which is further north of the city, and you can take it right into the center of the city practically. And so on the way back to the airport after my weekend there, I decided to film just with my phone, propped up in portrait mode, not landscape, the train moving and the landscape going by. And at one point, and I didn't realize it, we went into a tunnel, but I kept filming, and we were in the tunnel for like 5 minutes. But I just kept my phone there, and then once we emerged, I kept the phone up on for a little bit more, because in my mind, I wanted to make a piece of music that would have one musical idea, and then when you went into the tunnel, another musical idea would happen. It'd get sort of crazy, and there'd be some cool jazz solos. And then once you emerge back out, then you would arrive at where you were before. And I wanted that sort of cool visual look. And then now we have it. This is it. This is what it ended up being. It's a really fun piece that, again, started as fun sounding thing. I didn't know that it was going to become this when I started making the sample of the pin art toy. And started creating that rhythm. It just gradually happened as I was working on this piece that I said, you know, that video that I took in Oslo, like that would be perfect. And that's what ended up happening. And it was a blast to make. And I hope you enjoy listening to it. And you can check out the video on my website and on YouTube, and I'll link to it here. And also just check out my website and see some of my other work. I did a piece called Cacophony that utilizes a video that I took while in LA on the train there. So I want to do more of these transportation videos. I actually have a few other videos on my phone that I could use for this. But thanks so much for watching this tour of the Logic session for Oslo. I had a great time making this piece. I had a great time writing the blog entry that's on my website. Great time making this video. Obviously, you can see I'm having a good time. And yeah, so that's it. Okay.